Great. Okay, we'll go ahead and get underway. Thank you for joining, everyone. My name is Steve Lemmy, and today I'm joined by Carl Diaz, our Senior Vice President of Observability and Management. And we're happy to have you join us today for this replay from our Cloud World session. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to you, Carl.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining this session for strategy and roadmap for our observability solutions that we have in Oracle. So just as a starter, this slide shows you what our analysts are saying, especially IDC, about the state of today's corporations in terms of where they are with respect to observability. They say 60% of them say observability tools are too narrow, and 72% say they're still trying to figure out what is the best type of observability they need to deploy in their environments, in order to get full visibility, manage their systems in the most appropriate manner. Now, why is that? Okay, so you probably know the environment has changed significantly from where it was about 10 years ago. Today's apps are a lot more complex. They are distributed in nature. They have cloud technology, some of them. They span on-premises, cloud, hybrid cloud. Complexity of these apps, the number of moving parts, there are serverless components. I mean, it's all over the place. Right? So it's very, very critical that we have a comprehensive observability solution as well as collect the right set of data and be extremely comprehensive about collections, monitoring, analytics, and provide you with the right insights so that you can optimize your administration and monitoring of all your applications. So with that, I would like to, give you a brief overview of where we are with our observability solution at Oracle. Okay, so this diagram here kind of gives you a big picture of the solution type of capabilities that we provide. They fall into like four big categories of monitoring, AIOps, analytics, diagnostics, tuning, and security. They are built on top of a very comprehensive collection. We do not only metrics, but we get events, logs, traces, SQL. It's a lot of data, basically, that we collect from your applications and infrastructure. And we have support for hybrid cloud, multiple clouds, not only Oracle, as well as systems in your data center. Basically, supporting a heterogeneous technology stack is super important. Otherwise, our solution, again, becomes narrow in nature. Again, and combining monitoring and management provides you with a better user experience. So that's our overall goal. Now, to talk about some of these key capabilities that we have. So we have listed here some of the highlights of our monitoring solutions. We have real user insights, infrastructure monitoring. So it's right from what's happening in the browser to what's happening down to your host and disk level, right? So it comprises the entire stack, shows you availability for the full stack, and allows you to also proactively monitor SLAs. Given the vast amount of data, there is no way we can scroll through these things using conventional techniques. So we have to rely on things like AI and ML to provide analytics. So in that arena, using AI and ML, we can consume these vast amount of logs, provide anomaly detection for metrics, correlate different events to tell you, what's correlated, what is the root cause, cluster these logs appropriately so that you don't get lost in the millions of log records, SQL insights for the SQL statements in your workloads, capacity planning. I mean, the whole gamut of pretty much all the operations that you encounter on a regular basis in your production environment are solutions that we provide, which are supercharged with AI and ML. And then from a standpoint of not only monitoring and providing insights, we also do the management part, which is diagnostics, tuning, right at the application level, database and host. And we provide application tuning, database diagnostics, SQL tuning. For those of you who are familiar with some of the existing products that we have, like diagnostics and tuning pack for database, I mean, all of that technology and much more is brought to the cloud now in our observability solutions and services that we have. And lastly, any observability solution is incomplete without a view towards security. Okay, so these days security is front and center, as you know, in everyone's mind, and there is no point in just having a monitoring tool without providing an eye on security. No point in having a management tool without allowing you to harden your application stack. So we do provide comprehensive security analytics as well as the ability to highlight vulnerabilities in your stack and patch it. And I'll be talking more about it in this session. So with that, which are the specific services that I'm referring to, right? So I've talked about capabilities that are observability solution in OCI at Oracle, the ones that we provide. But what are the specific services? If you go to the OCI menu, the top row here will the lists the specific services as application performance monitoring, stack monitoring, logging analytics, database management, OS management hub, and operations or ops insights. Okay, so these are the very specific services and the combination of which will provide you with all the capabilities that I mentioned. In order to facilitate all these solutions, as I alluded to, there is a vast amount of data that needs to be collected. And this data collection is not trivial in nature, okay? And at the same time, we do not want to burden you with manually deploying everything all over the place and then saying only if this data is collected will we provide the solutions. So what we've done is we've made it much easier for you to actually deploy agents or make sure that whatever applications you're running on our cloud have embedded collection mechanisms in them so that whatever they emit will directly be sent to our observability solutions. So in OCI, for example, if you use OCI compute, network, storage, you don't have to do anything. If you use autonomous database, Oracle Integration Cloud for PaaS services and such, this is stuff that you don't have to deploy any agent, and we will automatically get telemetry from all these infrastructure and PaaS components. We are open and extensible. So if your app, emits telemetry that adheres to open telemetry standards or uses Prometheus, Fluentd, we are able to tap into that. Okay, so it's not like we only rely on our specific collection. We also rely on what you generate or what any of these other plugins that you might generate. Orchestration mechanisms, again, we use standard industry-wide, well-known things like Terraform, Helm charts for Kubernetes, Ansible. And last but not the least, we also have our own agent, right? For on-premises deployments especially. We have to have something which allows us to go in, collect information from the host and database and pretty much the whole application stack. So we provide you an easy way to deploy an agent. You can go to the cloud, point to the systems that you want to deploy, and manage it all through the cloud. So from a collection standpoint, we have spent a lot of time to make sure that this is seamless and easy so that you get the value for all this the features that I've talked about. Now, this slide just tells you about the maturity and the robustness of our solution. We have 10,500 plus customers, 45 petabytes of logs. What is more interesting is that on a daily basis, we can ingest. Currently, we do 350 terabytes per day, and that's just increasing. The number of traces, APM traces, is 50 billion plus. So just to tell you that Oracle, as well as external customers, rely a lot on this technology that we have for observability, adoption, and these things are just growing by the day. Jumping into strategy and roadmap, we're dividing it into three major sections. One is how can we leverage GenAI to drive innovation? Secondly, is the very important topic about security. What security insights can we provide you and how can we harden your stack so you can prevent exploits? And thirdly is how can we make your life as an SRE or a DevOps engineer easier and more efficient so you can do more with your time given the vast estate of today's app. Okay, so driving innovation with GenAI, I would broadly divide it into two categories. One is how we use GenAI internally to simplify observability and diagnostics so we can provide you with better insights and recommendations. And the second category is if you have GenAI applications and workloads running in our cloud, what sort of observability and diagnostics can we provide for that? okay, whether you are an application user of GenAI services in the cloud or a service provider, right? So I will talk about that in depth. So the first part is about how to use GenAI to simplify observability and diagnostics. So as you know, GenAI is this new technology that can synthesize vast amounts of data very quickly and efficiently, generate insights and summaries based on existing patterns. We have a lot of data, as I said, metrics, events, log, traces. I mean, we need tools like this, basically, technology like this, AI as well as ML to kind of make sense of all of that data. Okay, so what we do is we leverage a lot of internal Oracle technology, use LLM models, and this list is just the current list. But this technology is also evolving, and our use of it will evolve. But just to give you an idea, we use Cohere, Llama, Tapas. These are foundation models, but it's augmented with specific observability data, lingo, semantics, augmented with what's happening in your production system, as well as product documentation, right? So the combination of this augmentation along with the foundation model is something that will give you a more relevant answer to your questions. And what we also do is make your life easier by actually fine tuning a lot of this LLM based foundation models. So you can basically interact with our observability system in a much easier way. It reduces the barrier basically, or the knowledge needed from your end to interact with our observability system. So you don't need to learn the nitty gritty of details of query languages for APM and log and SQL necessarily. Will give you a very good starting point, and then you can go from there. Okay, so the four broad kind of categories, whether again I would divide our solution where it helps is really about troubleshooting, right? So what's going on in your app and infrastructure stack. If you want to understand why a particular application is slow or why maybe users are complaining, pretty much you ask that question and Steve will show you a demo of that. The second one is about summarization of results, wherein you have a lot of these log records, a lot of these traces. You want to rein it in and understand what has happened. How many incidents am I seeing? Why am I seeing these particular anomalies? So summarizing those results, providing insights is the other big area that we are providing a lot of time and resources into and investing in. The third one I briefly talked about is query generation, right, for SQL, log, and APM queries. And lastly, about product usage help. You don't now have to manually look through product documentation. You can ask a simple question like, well, what's written out here on the slide is, can I get Ops Insights news reports via email? How do I do that? Right? You will get a very detailed answer to that. So it's there at your fingertips on the screen itself. You don't have to leave the application, fire up something else in order to now get your queries answered. Okay, so this talks about very briefly the architecture. Essentially, what comes in is the question that you ask. We try and do some sort of similarity search. We have a lot of these data that's already. I talked about augmentation. It's already vectorized in a vector DB. Your question is also sent to an LLM, vectorized. We do the similarity search using vector DB technology. Then we send that data, those set of vectors, as well as the prompt to an LLM. Then LLM basically generates the answer or insights. And Steve will show you a demo of how the whole sort of a dashboard can be generated with the right set of widgets, the right set of visualizations that will help you basically troubleshoot and diagnose the root cause. Okay, so now the second one is about okay, if you have GenAI workloads, what do we provide for you? As I said, you could be an application user using somebody's GenAI service or AI provider service, or you could be a service provider. Okay, and what we do is, real-time monitoring of these applications, troubleshooting analytics, as well as help you to do capacity planning, cost optimizations for, if you're doing training, or other sort of AI workloads that you run. Okay, I'm not going to go through each of these line items, but out here is a slide. We'll send you the slides. You can see it's meant to illustrate the set of details that we are aware of. The left side talks about GenAI infrastructure and the type of metrics, the type of visibility that you will get into GPUs especially. And on the right side is about the GenAI application metrics, or some of these are business metrics that you can understand from an end user standpoint, from the workload standpoint, as well as from the orchestration standpoint, if you have built your own pipeline. So you'll get very detailed information that you can use to monitor, diagnose, and improve your AI workload efficiency. So from a troubleshooting analytics standpoint, so as I said, we look at host, memory, network. This is stuff that we do, but the GenAI workloads introduces the GPU angle. So now we understand that too. We understand AI processes that are running on CPUs and workload that has been offloaded to GPUs. We'll diagnose GPU specific things like high temperature, etc., and also network issues between as you know there are vast. You have a GPU farm essentially. And you could have network latencies, congestions in our DMA networks, etc. So these are all metrics that insights that will be provided by our solution. Now, in terms of that was infrastructure. Now, in terms of the application, this is very interesting because you want to know how effective your AI solution is from your application standpoint to your users. Are they benefiting from it? Are they asking relevant questions? Is the LLM providing relevant answers? Do they have to ask multiple questions before they get the right answer? Stuff like that. So these are types of insights that we will let you know. How many times you're reaching out to the LLM. So this is the idea. This gives you a sense of, how users, how much value they get out of using your GenAI features. That this is the whole crux of the usage analytics. And from a cost optimization standpoint, you can then use this information in order to, maybe fine tune your LLM and figure out a way so that users get answers with a smaller number of prompts. And lastly, if you have AI workloads running, cost is a big concern. So trying to understand what is being used, how it's being used, how many times, as I said, you're reaching out to LLMs, tracking of these tokens, giving you an overall resource profile for your inference and training workloads, and comparing it with what you've done in the past, using all our standard observability solutions now gives you this visibility into what's running on the GPU and how you can optimize that workload on the GPU. Okay, and with that, I will turn it over to Steve. We can quickly jump into the AI demo, and I will cover the rest of the roadmap items after we've done with the demo.
Thank you, Carl. And let's go ahead and take a look at a couple examples of what Carl has been talking about. We've captured replays of the demo shown on those big screens at Cloud World, and we've gone ahead and enhanced them so some things are easier to see in this session. In this first demo, we're going to see how generative AI is used to help speed investigation and troubleshooting. So let's go ahead and take a look. In this demo, a customer has complained of an application performance issue and will use the new generative AI capabilities in observability and management to help identify the root cause of the issue. We start from the Observability and Management APM page, and we select the new icon appearing at the bottom right to invoke the AI assistant. Now, I'm going to type in or copy and paste from my clipboard what I know to get some guidance on the performance issue. Users complain about the app performance. Is the wine store app okay? Instead of hunting around and then trying to correlate all the data manually, the AI assistant is doing that for me. Let's see what data it's found that's relevant to this issue. The AI assistant is now showing me end-user performance data for the wine store app. Exactly what I was looking for. And it's automatically added a filter for it in the web application selector, showing me data only relevant to this application. I see 4 key performance indicators displayed, and in the top pages over time section, it appears the average duration of the orders page is almost 3 times longer than normal. So I'll pin this information. Now I see that the AI assistant has moved that key information to the top of the page. Seeing that there's a problem with the order service, I'll now ask the assistant to see what's wrong with it. So I type in, what is wrong with the order service? Now I see displayed additional information the AI assistant found specific to the ordering service in the Wine app. Clicking on the yellow order spike, I see in blue here in the service execution time by tier over time section that the database execution is taking much longer. And about 9 a.m. DB time is trending 2 to 3 times longer than normal. I'll pin that information as well. To see why the database time execution is slower, I'm going to ask the assistant to show me some more information. Show me DB activity. Now I see displayed key data in the AI assistant found on the performance of the database for the Wine app. I immediately see that CPU has maxed out at the time of the problem. And if there aren't any more transactions happening or many more user calls, what is the database doing that's using all those CPU cycles? So now the question in my mind is, has anything changed in the database recently? So I'll go back to the AI assistant and type in, was anything changed in the database recently? I now see from an Oracle database auditable event, 9 a.m., that a change occurred about the time the problem occurred. And I find that an index has been altered to be rebuilt online with a parallelism of 8. You shouldn't be doing that during normal business days, and certainly should not be doing it using every single CPU the system has to do that. Okay, so that was our first demonstration of how using generative AI can be used to help investigate and speed troubleshooting. Let's go ahead and take a look at this next and final demonstration. So in this last demo, we're investigating an actual security event that really occurred. And for data privacy reasons, the information's been redacted from the Slack message. For this use case, I need to help the security team determine if IP 10.20.10.147 is a security threat. So let's take a look. We start from the Observability and Management Logging Analytics Log Explorer page. To help speed investigation, I select the new GenAI Assistant icon from the upper left. Using English, the AI Assistant directs logging analytics actions, uses AI to automatically detect log sources, and uses RAG learning to build queries and run them for me. It also maintains a history. Here, I see it already provided some questions to get started based on my past network troubleshooting activities. But I have a security issue to solve. So I type in for it to help me search. In this case, I paste in from my clipboard for which logs have 10.20.10.147, the suspect IP associated. Having predefined AI agents for research and troubleshooting, the AI assistant has found quite a lot of log data associated with the suspect IP address, 22 of them. But in the summary on the right the assistant provided me, I see there's a Kubernetes cluster node and the MuShop app associated with it. I need to further investigate that. So I click to get a summary of it. I now see that it's a large cluster consisting of 73 containers, 42 pods, 6 namespaces, and 4 nodes. Note, the English command, "Can you show summary of the cluster?" was generated by the assistant in context. So I don't have to learn a query language or be a data scientist. I want to view the traffic in and out of that cluster next. So I ask the assistant to show network traffic distribution related to IP address 10.20.10.147 by source IP and destination IP. I see the network activity spans many IP addresses. Looking at the summary the assistant has provided, most of it seems to be coming from 2 IP addresses, about 60% of it. So I type in for the assistant to just show the Kubernetes traffic only that is related to the suspect IP address. That helped some, but in summary, I now see that 38% of the traffic came from IP 10.244.1.1. What I need to know next are what are the programs that are running in that cluster generating that traffic. So I type in for the assistant to show program names. Now, displayed in context are all the running programs the assistant found running in that cluster. IP 10.244.1.1 looks okay as it's mostly kubelets used for Kubernetes operations. The MooShop app uses Ruby, Java, and has a Redis server, so that seems okay as well. But an IP 10.244.1.23, what is Kinsing? I'll check on that IP address in the visual display to get a closer look. I click on the Kinsing green box and see a number of query operations provided by the AI assistant that I can run on it. I just need to research it to see if it's a common application program component or something else. I quickly see that Kinsing is a new stealth backdoor used by attackers. Definitely a security threat. I need to get back to the security team right away and let them know that IP 10.20.10.147 is a security threat and provide them the details so they can take appropriate action. So Carl, there it is. There's a couple examples of how generative AI can be utilized to help folks make their lives much easier and go through all of that observability and telemetry data.
Correct.
Back over to you.
Hey, thank you, Steve. Yeah, so exactly. So it simplifies overall access to observability, and you don't no longer need expert knowledge in order to browse or draw insights from it. It just provides these answers for you. So that's great. Cool. Now moving on to the next topic, which is security insights and hardening. Next slide. There are two sort of big buckets. How I'd like to look at it as one is about identifying or showing you if your system is currently being exploited, and second is about how hardened is your software stack, how vulnerable you are towards to exploitation. Okay, so for the first one, so we monitor threat activity. We integrate with threat intelligence feeds to understand what are suspicious IPs. Are we getting requests? Is your application getting requests from these suspicious IPs? Who are these users? Which targets are they? Entities and targets are they accessing? So it's this whole area called user entity behavior analysis, right? UEBA. That's something that we provide an insight into. So you can understand what a user has done, how frequently are they accessing your system, is there exfiltration happening, identify data leaks and such. Okay, so in the next slide, I'll show you a dashboard about it. The second category is about hardening your stack, providing your visibility into for you in order to see, well, are there vulnerabilities that you have not patched? Right, very important for data tiers, application tiers, hosts, and not only that, we don't just stop at that, but we also give you tools. We allow you to patch your database and mid-tier. So not only detect vulnerability, we'll track compliance on an ongoing basis, configuration drifts and such, and allow you to proactively patch these systems. So this is the dashboard I was alluding to for threat activity monitoring. Out here, you will see, a different set of widgets. Basically shows you your app topology, and shows you your threat topology in terms of which systems have been accessed by requests and users coming from these suspicious IP addresses. We will show you a geo map of from where they have been originating, which services have been accessed in your application, how often, right, these transactions, how often have they been accessing the systems, how long has the exploit been happening, and more importantly, what sort of SQL statements have they been running? Because that is very critical. This is your access to your data tier. What sort of queries, DMLs, as well as, if there are any REST APIs, for example, right, that they're making calls to. So this we provide you in a complete 360-degree view in a dashboard of this nature. And then you will also be able to customize these dashboards so that you can get a very comprehensive view of any exploits that might be happening. Okay. So that's security. And the last big piece is about how do we improve SRE and DevOps. Okay, this is basically improving, your life as a DevOps engineer on a regular basis. One big category is observability as code. You may have heard this term in the industry. The idea is that you don't want to make observability as an afterthought, but you want to deploy it as part of your infrastructure. We provide you the automation. We automate a lot of stuff, so you don't have to do manual deployments. You don't have to have one-off scripts. As I said earlier, we use Terraform, Ansible, the well-known orchestration tools in order to deploy agents that's not our agent. Things like Fluentd, Collectd, Telegraph, deploy instrumentation for Kubernetes. For availability monitoring, APM has the ability to generate Terraform scripts, so you can deploy your synthetic monitors for all these vantage points very easily and very fast. Dashboards. I just showed you an example where you can you can get deep monitoring. You can create this dashboard, have policies, access policies on them, and then distribute them to your team, essentially. So you can standardize on such monitoring. Then the other big area is about metrics, thresholds, and alarms. Right? You cannot have eyes manually, visually look at all these things 24/7. So you want to have the right set of alerts on these entities to create the alarms. So we have capabilities like monitoring templates, wherein you define what you want to monitor, define your thresholds, define your corrective actions and such, and you deploy these templates to thousands of systems, and that's all uniform, minimizes chances for error. Same thing with metrics. If you want to monitor your own thing and go over and above what we do out of the box, you can define your own scripts for collecting telemetry metrics and deploy them through monitoring templates, again, uniformly across all your targets. And then we have you can define your maintenance windows based on a schedule. You don't have to manually do that. And lastly, runbooks. Runbooks is a very, very important key feature that we have, which allows you to now define your policies and how you actually triage things based on maybe an alert or an event occurring. That then you can have your team look at these things in a very standardized manner, quickly diagnose triage issues, and at the end of the day, improve availability of your applications. So that's one big area. The other one is about just faster performance diagnostics. This is stuff that we've been doing for years, and we continue improving on it. We have deep expertise in the database layer, application layer, build on that technology, bring all of that to the cloud. We provide cross-tenant and cross-region dashboards. This is something very unique. If you are a service provider, for all your tenants, you can have a dashboard to see a cross-tenant view. If you have systems across regions, you fire up a cross-region dashboard. Anomaly detection for metrics, logs, I've talked about that before. We just don't want fixed thresholds because that sometimes creates a lot of noise. You want things that our system automatically figures out what's normal behavior based on seasonality and such, and that's what anomaly detection is about. Daily news reports is about the GenAI system, our observability at large, what it has found out, all the key insights, stuff that you need to really look at. It comes to you rather than you logging into the app and asking questions and figuring it out. Okay, you can do that first, set up the right dashboard, set up the right things. And then if you want to get these reports on a regular basis and insights on a regular basis, that's what you can get a daily setup to get a daily news report with pinpoints, performance issues. And proactive insights for application and DB. This is our bread and butter. We have SQL, we collect in the area of SQL tuning and performance diagnostics, we collect SQL statements, all your SQL statements for your application, so you can understand, if there is a regression, how it has been behaving in the past. You can tap into the warehouse basically to tune your SQL. You can prevent regressions using the SQL Watch service that we now have. It's just been released. With that, for any change that you roll out, you can actually test it upfront to figure out if your application is going to be running into response time issues. And then ADDM Spotlight uses our AI ADDM technology and looks at over a larger time period and identifies the biggest problems that you need to focus on in order to improve your database throughput. From an SLA standpoint, we continue improving the types of protocols that we support. And we have DNS, SQL, FTP, in addition to the large battery of tests that out-of-the-box tests that you can run. Okay, and last but not the least, as I alluded to before, we do not just rely on our own collection mechanism. We, of course, have our own embedded in OCI infrastructure as well as our own agent to collect telemetry. But we absolutely understand that if your application generates logs, events, traces, profiles, metrics, we will ingest that. We will understand that. So anything that adheres to open telemetry, CNCF standards, we do understand. We integrate with Telegraph, CollectD, FluentD, and all the Kubernetes ecosystem tools that there are in order to provide you basically with a very comprehensive solution, so that you don't have any blind spot. With this, I hope you can see that we have a very comprehensive solution. This is something what some of our large customers are saying. 3 customers here, 8x8, Lone Star College, Cognizant. You can read their comments. They're happy customers with our observability solutions.
In fact, Carl, at Cloud World, we had a specific customer panel where we had several different customers talking about how they've applied observability and management in their business. I know Cognizant was actually also present there at Cloud World, talking about how they've taken their very large PeopleSoft estate that they rely upon for their business, and they've put it onto OCI, and they're now using observability and management as part of that. So yeah, a lot of great customer success stories and excited customers using observability management.
Yes, that's great. Yeah, good to know. Wonderful. So in closing, these are the 3 things that I'd like you to take away. As one is the rich observability platform that we provide. It's comprehensive, pretty much at all the types of telemetry that your applications generate. Finally, enabling organizations to drive innovation and efficiency. Secondly is about supercharging these solutions with AI and ML, okay, for faster diagnostics and root cause analysis. Given the large amounts of data, that's the only recourse that we have to this technology. And thirdly is about looking at the security angle, providing visibility into any exploits, and also improving and hardening your stack, application stack, as well as improving SRE and DevOps efficiency. Okay, with that, I think we can take okay, so this slide, it has a couple of important links with videos, Cloud World sessions. Pretty much a lot of our observability related collateral can be accessed through this. So do take advantage of it.
Yeah, there's several things here, Carl. So if folks want to put some things into the Q&A, we're happy to take your questions. You can get started right away with observability and management. If you're already using OCI, you just need to go under the menu and you can take a look at any one of the services Carl was just talking about. If you're not currently using OCI, you can also go learn more about it and try it out over on Oracle LiveLabs, where we provide a free environment available 24/7 by 365 to do that. We spoke to some customers at Cloud World, and they were unaware of that resource, which is a wonderful resource that we make available. Our blog site, about Every week, there's about 2 new blogs on applying observability and management for business problems. And there's enhancements constantly happening every 6 to 8 weeks to the services Carl was just talking about. A lot of great resources here to take advantage of. And again, reiterating that no matter if you've got the technology still in your data center, it's on Oracle Cloud or in one of the other vendors' clouds, what Carl's been talking about is applicable. And again, if you're a customer that is excited to help lead the strategy and roadmap that Carl was just talking about, please join our customer advisory board. So we'll go ahead and take a look and see if we've got any questions.
Steve, I see
Yep.
I see a question. You mentioned the getting started piece. There's a question about using the services individually or together, because I think Carl covered some really good kind of solutions where we're using multiple services, and not really defining which individual service does what. But you've got a good slide up here that, where you can try the individual services, but how do you use them together?
So the features that I've talked about are broad across observability. I didn't specifically call out which service provides what, and services, that doesn't mean that if you sign up for a particular service, you won't get you will get a piece of the observability that service provides. You'll just get a richer experience. If you can also say you sign up for logs, you will be able to analyze and harness the power of AI and ML for all those logs, the rich logs that we collect and analyze. Do you want to stop there? Why not also do sign up for database management, for example, and leverage the tools for performance and diagnostics that we have, for example, or sign up for APM and understand how end users are using your application right from the browser, right? Using real user insights. So it's different pieces of the puzzle. Ideally, you want to use all of these services in order to get the value of observability as a whole. But that doesn't mean, but we have customers which just use, specific services for specific needs. And that is rich by itself. And some of these links here, you will be able to see what each service provides specifically and go into details for each feature. There are demos, blogs, short videos. And as Steve said, these live labs, I think that's a great resource. Helps you understand and there you have to interact with each service. And that will help you understand what each service provides.
Yeah, I think that's an important point to you could get started by using any one of the individual services if you're looking at your application, or you want to take, a deeper dive into your logs for, troubleshooting. But, from an architecture perspective, we build each of these services to be a standalone solution, but then also to complement each other and build, more of a tight solution as you use them together. And you mentioned starting with like database management service. This is something that's unique and not out there in any other capacity. So we really encourage folks to take a look at these individual services, but then also, as you apply them as a solution against sets of applications and target types, you get more of an advantage.
Well, I see one comment and actually another question. So again, thank you for we ourselves at Oracle use observability and management to help us run our own cloud operations and deliver our Fusion applications on the Oracle Cloud. Another great use case. Carl, we know some folks love Enterprise Manager. We've been talking about capabilities and direction specifically of, many of the O&M services. We're going to be doing some generative AI type work with Enterprise Manager as well, right?
Absolutely. My team, as also, and I'm responsible for Enterprise Manager. We will be bringing some of these AI capabilities to Enterprise Manager, especially all the product help, documentation type GenAI questions that you saw, as well as some of the widgets and dashboard generation pieces. The idea is, and also Enterprise Manager will have a lot of integration visibility into some of the cloud services in case you've signed up for it. So say you signed up for Ops Insights, you will get a sense of, you will get to access the Ops Insights information in context in Enterprise Manager. So there is a lot of synergy there because we do understand you have a lot of on-premise systems. Many of our large customers use Enterprise Manager. They are starting to use cloud services and observability solutions on the cloud as we speak. So it's a continuum. Everybody's at a different point along that continuum, and our overall strategy is to give you maximum choice and allow you to use both of these things and continue to develop features in Enterprise Manager as well as cloud and share these features across the two. Okay, so that's the other very important thing. Many of these new capabilities that we have, especially in the database area, we also provide that in Enterprise Manager.
So, Carl, you mentioned the keyword integration. And so there could be someone listening to this replay who, they've had Enterprise Manager. They haven't started doing anything maybe with OCI yet. Ops Insights. That's a great service to take a look at because every DBA I know has to do capacity planning at least annually. And so that exercise of trying to use spreadsheets and guess, that's all over just by using Ops Insights. And of course, that's just a small use case of the integration point between the two. And here we've got on the screen a LiveLab. They can go check it out right after this replay and see for themselves.
Yeah, and these services like Ops Insights, Logging Analytics, they are complementary to Enterprise Manager. Enterprise Manager does not provide these capabilities. So it behooves you to also look at these cloud services and get a better picture of for monitoring and management.
The other thing we haven't mentioned and reiterate at the end is cost savings. Again, we had our customer panel at Cloud World. Many of the customers that are now using observability management were able to essentially save money by turning off older third-party tools because they weren't built for, multi-cloud and hybrid environments. And so they're now actually saving money because of that in itself. So again, we've got more success stories out there. We have the blogs, we have these resources.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks all for joining. I really encourage you to spend some time with the resources that listed on this slide. I'm very excited because this is a space that has, a lot of technical challenges and a lot of real world challenges that, we are spending and investing heavily in, especially now with GenAI, this new technology, as I said, that itself is an evolving space. So there is a lot more opportunity there in order to bring that to bear in our observability solution. And the combination of all of these services will just make your life easier as a DevOps and SRE engineer, will help you be more productive. And I'm happy to, engage with you as you start onboarding onto these services. If you have questions and such, we're very happy to engage. So thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, Carl. And again, thank you all for joining us for this replay of the strategy session presented at Cloud World 2024 in Las Vegas this year.